Never two without three. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thomas Love here from beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, and today we're gonna discuss the differences in between the Leica Q2 and the Q3, because many of you are asking, what should I buy? Shall I go for the newest one? Is the old one good enough? Or eventually also the Q? And to me, it is very clear. Either one you are getting, guys, for the different reasons, will be a super valid choice that is supposed to last for many years. And so the form factor is exactly the same from the Leica Q to the Q2 to the Q3. There are only minor differences here and there with the form factor, namely the port that we're having on the Q3, because right now you might eventually connect the HDMI, of course not the full size, or the microphone jack. And so that's a good plus for video recording, but the form factor is exactly the same. The size, the weight, we're talking about plus or minus 10 grams, and so either one would be a great EDC for you. The main differences are indeed in the sensor, because the Leica Q had a 24 megapixel sensor. That was the sweet spot for the time being, while right now apparently 45-47 megapixel is the average, while the high resolution sensors like the Q3 are having more than 60 megapixels. Why is that? Because back in the days, 24 megapixel was good enough with bigger pixels also to resolve in low light conditions, while right now with BSI sensors, even 45-47 megapixels, such as what we're having in the Leica Q2, is a very good alternative. So with BSI stack sensors, eventually also 60 megapixel, and this is why, if we are talking about stills, the Leica Q3 outperforms the Q and the Q2 big time on every aspect, being the thing that they all have the same glass, which is that beautiful Samilux 28mm, which we are appreciating for almost a few years right now, and you can eventually crop into 35, 50, 75, and eventually with the Q3 to 90mm. So the body is exactly the same, the glass is exactly the same. We're having OIS, not IBIS, and so this is a lack compared to the competitors, but not within itself. I think that for stills, OIS is still a super valid choice. So it will help you when you go lower than 1/60th of a second, then the OIS kicks in and it helps you with 1, 2, 3 f-stops stabilization. But otherwise, if you're just shooting because you want to freeze the moment, you won't even need it. And so which one do you want to have? The 24 megapixel, the 45 megapixel, or the 60 megapixel? It's really up to you, according on how much details, the level of detail and sharpness you want to have, but the glass, it's always the same, Samilux f1.7. Another difference that you should consider, and here it comes into play, the real difference, because with technology that has been developed in the last few years, while we were out there enjoying our Leica Qs, Q monochrome, Q2 monochrome, and finally when they released the Q3, it was thanks to the partnership with Panasonic that this latest one also got phase detect. So it's not a big of a deal if you are still shooting stills or street photography, or if you're using for family gatherings, or even as a professional, if you're shooting photography, absolutely you won't need it. But if you're shooting videos, well, that's a game changer. What does it mean? I am starting to appreciate more and more this camera also for videos, because it has a full frame sensor which resolves light very well, because the Leica color science, I can only appreciate it, but there are still a few lacks compared to competitors. Namely, you won't have a log shooting, so if you want to shoot 4:2, well, the files start being very heavy, and then eventually with the Q3 they will be even heavier because it's a bigger sensor, but you're having phase detect. What does it change? If you're using it as I'm using it right now to record this episode as a talking head, you won't see any difference, because with the software release they implemented face recognition into the Leica Q2, and so now it's tracking me down. I don't have to go manual shooting anymore, I don't have to guess, and I don't have anymore any lens breathing that I was facing when I didn't have face detect. While phase detect, that it's coming from Panasonic, it's a step forward, it's a step beyond. It is absolutely what you should target to have if you're going to shoot videos out there. So wherever you are, in the mountains, in the city, if you want to shoot B-rolls or actions, then you will need face detect and some kind of autofocusing mechanism to recognize your main subject, because otherwise, if you're manually shooting, as an example, wildlife, that will be harder to chase. And so phase detect is the way to go if you want to shoot videos. But the Leica Q3 was not born for shooting videos, it's just an EDC, so it's a very good compromise. So it's a compromise compact camera that eventually can resolve and shoot videos. I don't know if 6K, 8K, how much they went for, because 4K to me is perfect, and it's also future proof, because all the videos or the TV screens and the screens we're using right now, not to mention the memory capabilities that you need in order to have any kind of color grading on your computer with those huge files, 4K, I think it's the right, and it's eventually also the limit we have if we want to work on videos right now. While 6K, 8K, it might be over sharpened, it might be too heavy, it might be also a challenge for your computer. So be aware of it. You can eventually shoot 6, 8K with the Leica Q3, but more than 4K, that would be just a waste of time, of calculating power, of grading. And so also with the Leica Q2, 4K video shooting, I will have to record audio externally. Right now I forgot my mic on the last location where I had the shooting, and so this is why I'm using this improvised mic and I'm recording the audio externally within the computer, while normally I use the Rode Wireless Go 2. While with the Leica Q3 you can eventually plug in a shotgun mic and talk directly to the camera. Does this mean that it is good for vlogging? It does not, because with the 28mm that would be way too tight. I gave it a try holding in the camera as far as possible, but that would be magnifying my face way too much, and so even the framing would not be pleasing for vlogging. So guys, just be aware that 28mm, it's not wide enough for vlogging, but it's very good if you want to do talking head, YouTubers, recording, so on and so forth, or going out and shoot videos when it happens that you have to record videos. Otherwise, it might not be the best choice. And so they said never two without three, and I'm impressed by the Q3. So the main question you have to ask yourself is, do you need to upgrade from either the Leica Q or Q2 to the Leica Q3, or do you need to purchase as a new camera because you didn't have any of the previous models? So the answer is different. So if you're coming from the Leica Q, well, you might notice the difference from the Q to the Q3. If you're coming from the Leica Q2, you have to ask yourself, what are you getting for the money you're spending? You're getting a flippy screen, which I won't need. You're getting an HDMI, not even full frame port. You're getting video capabilities and phase detect. That might be interesting, but if you are a photographer, you don't care, right? And you don't get any better stabilization. So from the Q2 to the Q3, it might be a long shot. If you didn't have any Leica Q camera beforehand, you can either go for the Q2 or the Q3. Again, the same valid points. Do you need a flippy screen? Do you need recording videos? Do you need all the capabilities that the Q3 is offering in addition to the Q2? Or if you just like the latest release, well, hands down the Q3 outperforms the Q2 on each single aspect. So if money is not a problem for you, and if you like the latest technology, this is future proof. But in my humble opinion, if you're having it as an EDC but you find yourself shooting videos much more than photos, then you need
the Q3. While the Q2, for me, without face detect, is much more a true shooting experience, because when I'm shooting street photography out there and I don't have face detect, I still have to manage the framing and the composition, and it pleases me. And then I will have to use the spot focusing or the manual focusing or the zone focusing. And so this is more true to photography than any automatic AF will ever be.
I will not be upgrading from the Leica Q2 to the Leica Q3, but if you're following the channel for a while, you know that I was already saving money in order to get myself a Leica M10 monochrome. Eventually, I might think about getting a Leica Q3 monochrome instead, because the lenses that are available for the Leica M are fully covered by this 60 megapixel 28mm Samilux with a crop factor. And in addition to that, I'm getting weather sealing and OIS. So that might be a game changer for me, the Leica Q3 monochrome to be set aside my Leica Q2 Bayern shooter. And so with that, I hope you got some value out of this video. If you did, please remember to like it, share it on social media, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any videos to come, and I guess I will see you later. Thank you. Bye bye.